Is there really a battle going on for your mind? Is there really a battle going on for possession of your mind? This is what I would like to explore with you today. Now, recently we've been having a number of conversations about this in my school community and also in my group coaching and mastermind service, Flow-Based Prosperity. And my simple answer is no. There is no battle for your mind. You are prior to the mind. You can clearly see that you are the only one that can think in your own mind. And as you are the only one that could think in your own mind, you can think how you relate to appearances. Now, what I mean by this is, I'm not sure if you read this wonderful book. It's a great marketing book. It's called Positioning: The Battle for Your Mind by Al Ries and Jack Trout. It shares how seemingly persuasive language patterns or appearances can be utilized by brands and politicians to fill voids in an individual's mind, compelling them to take action to fill these voids, whether the promise is actually delivered or not. Now, as you know, you are completely fulfilled. You exist prior to the mind, and you are completely fulfilled for no reason. That is the absolute truth. You realize that there's no void thus in your mind that needs to be filled. And you are not swayed by appearances, no matter how suggestive they may seem on the surface. You just remain in flow, experiencing your inherent fulfillment. Or we could say fully committed to your tasks, your projects, your initiatives, unswayed by appearances. This relates to another post we had in the school community on the hermetic mind. I call it the hermetic mind. Hermetic means completely sealed off. So in this regard, I was referring to it as the hermetic mind is completely sealed off from seeming outside influences. And by that it is meant there's no such thing as outside influences. The truth is thy lamp. The truth is thy lamp. Thus the still small voice is the only voice that makes perfect sense. You listen to the still small voice, which is distinct from the conditioning in mind. And as you are prior to the conditioning in mind, and simply put, you listen to yourself, you trust yourself, and you really think for yourself. You know that whatever appears out here are what we can call seeming suggestions. And as you know that you are completely fulfilled, existence is fulfillment, being is fulfillment, presence is fulfillment, and you are that complete fulfillment, then that voice, the still small voice, which you listen to exclusively, makes perfect sense and proves itself in concrete results as the fruits. So you don't need anything to fill a void. You are completely fulfilled, or as I've been saying lately, I am everything and I am nothing at the same time. I am everything, thus I need nothing. And as I need nothing, I am nothing. I am everything and I am nothing at the same time. Now, practically speaking, what this plays out as is not being swayed by appearances. Knowing that you're completely fulfilled, how can I say something to you that could be suggestive or persuasive or convincing for you to do something that you genuinely don't desire to do? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all, because you are not identified with these conditions in mind that generate the illusion of you lacking something, of not being completely fulfilled. That is how you remain in flow. That is how your attention naturally goes on what is related to your vision. And speaking about marketing, one of the benefits of studying marketing information is you are not just aware of marketing practices, you are also aware of if there's any conditioning in your mind that can be triggered so that you react in a way that is not beneficial for you. This is how you discern. And how do you discern? You discern from truth. You know that you are completely fulfilled. So why would you do something to seek external fulfillment? Now the question might be, well, what about all these things? What about all these things? The business, the money, the car, the relationships. If I am completely fulfilled, should I not desire these things? And my answer to it is, desire means having. You have these things. Or you can say, desire points to being completely fulfilled. And as you know, you are completely fulfilled, as all desire points to, is your fulfillment within. These things, the money, the car, the relationship, whatsoever things ye desire, as stated in Mark 11:24, pray as though ye have received them, as in you already have them, are naturally and effortlessly added onto you without resistance. I can honestly say from personal experience. Because as you know my story, in 2004, I came across a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And in there, he said there are these beliefs stored in the subconscious mind. And you can release identification to these beliefs. These are the beliefs that suggest you lack. You are not who you desire to be. You need this or that external condition to be met. And then you can experience happiness. The reality is you are happiness, or as I always say, you are love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. You are that for no reason, beyond reason. So you don't need this or that external condition or appearance in order to be love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. Yet, paradoxically, we can say it that way, these things naturally appear to be added onto you by grace alone. As stated in the Bible, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added onto you. A simple way of putting it is, I am completely fulfilled. Existence equals fulfillment. Being equals fulfillment. Presence equals fulfillment. So you don't do this or that in order to be fulfilled. You are fulfilled for no reason. It only doesn't appear that way based on conditioning in mind. And as long as the individual places conditioning in mind that suggests that an outward appearance needs to be there, or an outward, whatever physical thing needs to be there in order to be fulfilled, then what if I come along and say, oh, I'll show you how to get that outward thing. You need to do this or that, and you don't really need to do this or that. But let's say if you felt desperate because you thought you lacked fulfillment or love, you may think you need to do that thing, which is illusory. You don't need to do that thing. Those things are naturally added onto you without doing that thing. I can honestly say it. A number of times when I was identified with this kind of conditioning, that I need to do this or that in order to get the money, the car, whatever, I realized that, wait, what if I don't do that thing? Well, I still get the money, whatever that thing may be. And it happened. So an example would be, Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich said, if you believe that money is the result of hard work alone, perish the thought. Now, I thought prior to reading Think and Grow Rich that I needed to work very hard. I needed to stress myself out. I needed to force myself to make money. That is clearly a condition. Or let's say if I read a book and it says, you need to look this way, act this way, dress this way, and be this way in order to get a relationship, I would have thought, okay, I need to do those things. And that's the only way I can get a relationship, because I need to do those things. Now, what I found is I released that condition of hard work needing to be there. And what I noticed is that money started to show up easier, more effortlessly. I moved up in my corporate career. I got out of $50,000 debt. I built an IT business to success, started this YouTube channel, built the YouTube channel to success. It turned into a full business, my consulting practice, doing what I love to do. I just do what I love to do. And that could sound unbelievable. How can you do what you love to do and have a wonderful time, lavish, steady, dependable income, consistent with integrity and mutual benefit, wonderful life experiences, wonderful relationships, etc.? Because that is the truth, as stated in John 8:32, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So not these outward appearances. The truth sets you free. These outward appearances just appear to rearrange to reflect the truth that you are fulfilled now. You are complete love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, beyond these appearances, beyond these conditions. Prove the point. If you no longer identify with this or that condition that needs to be there as some kind of prerequisite in order for you to have what you want, and you've done this before, you've released conditions, doesn't it not appear naturally, effortlessly? Lately, we've been speaking a lot about relationships. There may be a pattern. We can call it a pattern, but it's based on conditioning. Individual ends up in a relationship. They have a wonderful relationship. Then all of a sudden, some kind of conditioning plays out as theater between the two individuals. And then they may have a fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response as this conditioning is playing out. And then let's say the relationship transitions. Now they forgot who they are. They forgot that they are completely fulfilled. Prior to that relationship, they were being completely fulfilled. And then spontaneously, naturally, they meet someone, they end up in a relationship with them. And then the relationship transitioned. And then they think that they lack love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. They need to do this or that in order to be love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. They need to do all these things. You could do nothing to be love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. You could do nothing to be fulfilled. You are completely fulfilled for no reason. Practically speaking, you could be fulfilled having a conversation with someone or sitting by yourself at home. One is not better than the other. If you happen to be having a conversation with someone and you experience your fulfillment with the person, because the fulfillment is within, we experience it with another person, we can call it a fulfilling conversation, then great. Yet if you're sitting at home and let's say you don't have a date, you can be completely fulfilled. Now, as mentioned, prior to this individual meeting the other individual in a relationship, they were completely fulfilled while they were not on a date, while they were on a date. Unconditional fulfillment, and spontaneously, naturally, all these things added, that relationship just manifested, just like that. Then, as mentioned, the conditioning started playing out as theater, and conditioning just plays out as theater to release identification to the conditioning because you know it does not represent you. Just dissolve the conditioning. That was what was articulated in Think and Grow Rich. He said these beliefs are stored in the subconscious mind. You can dissolve these beliefs through auto-suggestion or whatever works. So now, what happens then is the individual is no longer in a relationship and maybe they try to get dates or they try to go out and meet people. They try to do this or that in order to get external love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, validation. Yet it does not seem to reflect because they're identified with conditioning. So the conditioning is reflecting. You can say it that way. Yet they are prior to that conditioning. They can in that moment go within and know that existence is enough. Presence is enough. Being is enough. That dissolves the conditioning. If they form the conditioning, no shame, no condemnation. They can dissolve the conditioning. You are completely fulfilled, and if the conditioning plays out as theater, as in the individual relates to the appearances in a way that is not from the premise of truth, dissolve that conditioning. And I can assure you, the relationships transform. The appearances transform. So let's say the individual, if they transitioned out of that relationship and they remain completely fulfilled, which they are completely fulfilled, so it's funny to say that, remain completely fulfilled. You are completely fulfilled. They just stop thinking that they're not. They just stop thinking that they lack fulfillment. They just stop placing conditions upon consciousness that suggest this or that needs to be there externally in order to experience that love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, which they are, which is truth. Again, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. What happens is, and I've seen this many times, they may or may not want another relationship. That's up to them. They are completely fulfilled. If they go on dates, if they don't go on dates, and as they continue to have more life experiences from the previous relationships, dating experiences, life experiences, they're more refined as to what they are looking for in a relationship. Maybe they're not looking for the relationship that they had before, which is completely fine. It doesn't mean that the relationship partner that they were with before was a bad person or there was a problem with them. As a matter of fact, they don't see it that way, because as long as they know that they are completely fulfilled, they see everyone as how they really are, completely fulfilled. And even though there was conditioning playing out as theater, that's okay. The conditioning was dissolved along the way. So then they meet another individual and they get involved with a harmonious relationship. Or maybe they choose to be single, which is completely fine. Is being single better than being in a relationship? Or being in a relationship better than being single? That doesn't make any sense. It's not this versus that. By that it is meant, if you desire to be in a relationship, great. If you desire not to be in a relationship, great. If maybe at a particular point you desire to be in a relationship, great. Everything happens naturally, effortlessly, and spontaneously. So, as mentioned, in the book Positioning by Al Ries and Jack Trout, The Battle for Your Mind, it only appears that way, where the appearances seem to suggest that you lack something, or the language patterns, let's say in communication, seem to suggest that you lack something. When you know you are completely fulfilled, as you are completely fulfilled, what happens is you are not swayed by those language patterns or those appearances. It's not like if you see someone and you find them to be physically attractive, that all of a sudden you want to be in a relationship with them. You find them physically attractive. Maybe you walk over, you start a conversation. You have a conversation with them, and maybe you realize that it's not a match. Completely fine. But if the individual is identified with conditioning, may override trusting that still small voice, which says clearly, although you find this person attractive, this is not someone you desire to genuinely be in a relationship with. You can meet people that you find physically attractive, and you might say, oh, yeah, this would make a great relationship partner. But let's say they're not interested in the same kind of things you're interested in. You're not going to try to convince them or manipulate them, try to change this person. None of that. None of that kind of thinking even arises in the individual's mind when they know that they're completely fulfilled. And that is why the truth is so precise. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So it only appears, this world only appears to be battling for your mind. Your attention seems to go here or there, what the individual may call shiny object syndrome or distraction based on conditioning stored in the subconscious mind. If you release identification to this conditioning in mind, by simply knowing in the moment, you are completely fulfilled for no reason at all. Practically speaking, here's a way you could do this. Let's say you have a morning routine. Let's say the morning routine is meditation, going to the gym, running. See those moments as completely fulfilling. In other words, I am completely fulfilled with whatever it is that I'm doing. I don't want to be anywhere else. I don't want to be with this other person or in this other country, etc. Where I am now is the best place to be. Where I am now, I am completely fulfilled. I am completely fulfilled experiencing my fulfillment with working out, with running, with this meditation, with this, with that in my morning routine. I can assure you, it dissolves the conditioning. I have given this to many clients. I have done this myself. And what they have noticed is their relationships have transformed. They then realize what I had mentioned earlier, and I say this all throughout my videos, you are the only one that can think in your own mind. You really think for yourself. The appearances like news and media, videos, people suggest nothing. You are the one that suggests what these appearances seem to suggest. And as you are not identified with these conditions because they have been released, knowing that you're completely fulfilled. And I mean physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. This discussion here is not just a intellectual conversation about spiritual truth. We're talking about living life as it is. Truth just is. Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. And it's not force-based. See, you genuinely desire to be as you are. In this life, you desire to know who you are and be as you are. You desire to know that you are completely fulfilled. Desire points to fulfillment. And be completely fulfilled. And then all these things, I don't worry about these things of this world. You can call it renouncing the world, but it's not renouncing in a way where I hate the things of this world, or I'm pretending like they're not there. I'm trying to get rid of them. It's more nuanced than that. It is all these things spontaneously, naturally arise to reflect my fulfillment. Harmonious relationship, business, etc., etc. Your style, which is your best style. You're not looking around to see how other people are doing it and say, oh, that is how a relationship should be. Oh, I need to be in a relationship because my friends are in a relationship. You see how that's conditional. No shame, no condemnation. Drop the conditioning and your natural way arises in flow. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. If that sounds too religious, consider this. Seek ye first the inner fulfillment, the inward fulfillment that you are, the inner fulfillment. I am that pure awareness, completely fulfilled. Existence, consciousness, bliss. I am completely fulfilled, but I don't know that, what it looks like, that completely fulfilled nature, being completely fulfilled. Yet it unfolds and it appears in consciousness. Where else do you experience it apart from consciousness? You appear in consciousness, completely fulfilled, to experience your fulfillment, your style, which is the best style. And also in entrepreneurship, I get these questions a lot. See, the individual may have formed conditioning around words like marketing, sales, operations, finance, leadership, innovation. That's how I segment entrepreneurship, where they may think these are force-based things, stress-based things. I can't do these things. I don't know how to do these things. That means I'm not good enough. Those words are completely neutral. All these things, the innovation, the sales, the marketing, the operations, the finance, leadership, is how entrepreneurship plays out. It plays out as theater. You come up with innovative ideas. You naturally talk about it on social media. People show up and they want to buy it. You pull together a team. You take your physical assets, your digital assets, your intangible assets, relationships naturally emerge, and now you have operations set up. Leadership, just being as you are, that's leadership. Leadership is physically, emotionally, mentally living the spiritual truth in congruence, in flow now. And what spontaneously arises is what you say, what you don't say, what you do, what you don't do. All those things happen naturally, effortlessly, in flow. And going back to what we mentioned earlier, what happens is your attention naturally remains on what is related to your vision. So practically speaking, it's not to say you must do the sales. So a person thinks sales and they have an association to the word, or marketing, they have an association to the word. Like, that's a problem. That's a bad thing. Individual is the only thinker in mind, and they have formed whatever kind of conditioning in relation to these words. They resist it, etc. These things happen naturally in flow. For example, when I had my IT business, I wasn't trying to sell IT services. I wasn't trying to market my IT services. This is a nuanced point. It just so happened to be that referrals was a marketing strategy, or it appears as referral, so the marketing was done effortlessly. And that's my style of marketing an IT business. Do I do referrals with this YouTube channel? Maybe a bit. One could say your marketing with this YouTube channel is making these videos, putting out content. Yes, you can look at it that way. It is marketing. You can also look at it as, I love to do what I love to do. I love to talk about these things. So it's both at the same time, not this versus that. This and that at the same time. So in sales, for example, we would have conversations about their pains, needs, desires, frustrations. These conversations were ones that they genuinely desired to have with respect to their IT or tech needs. And I would come up with solutions. I wasn't trying to create a void in them and fill that void. They are completely fulfilled. They are completely fulfilled. In their business, what they were looking for is IT solutions so that their operations can run even smoother. And I didn't need to trigger them and trigger desperation and do all these kinds of tactics. No need to do these things. There are people that genuinely desire the thing that you offer. I say this a lot. Giving and receiving is one. If you put out the product or service, if there's a desire to put out the product or service, there is absolutely the clients that are there to match, and they just show up perfect in harmony. Same thing with relationships. Knowing that I'm completely fulfilled, knowing that they're completely fulfilled, we just appear to play out fulfillment in a theater we can call entrepreneurship. Same with relationships. Now, as mentioned, the individual may be identified with conditioning in mind, and that could play out as theater as well in business. That's why I teach entrepreneurship as a spiritual catalyst. And just as that could play out as well as theater in relationships. No shame, no condemnation. Just dissolve that conditioning. And I can assure you, just like your business, your relationships get better and better and better. Your style, which is the best style. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's conclude this with an auto suggestion to further encourage. You could say, knowing that I am completely fulfilled, I know the truth that existence is love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. Thus, I need nothing. And as I am nothing, and as I am everything, everything spontaneously, naturally, and effortlessly appears to be added onto me by grace and grace alone. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.